Hi there, John Wilkinson here. Thanks for tuning in to the History Made Easier channel. America gets a lot of stick for its foreign policy. Maybe that's fair, maybe that's not. It's not for me to say here. The Europeans criticised it for coming late into World War I and late again into World War II. We criticise it as well for getting involved in the Gulf, getting involved in Afghanistan when it need not have done so. So it seems to be damned if it does and damned if it doesn't. The Cold War, however, and America's policy of containment is an interesting one. You guys look at Korea, you look at the Cuban Missile Crisis, and you look at Vietnam as part of America's containment policy. And when you look at Korea, well, it was a 50-50 draw in many ways. America prevented communism from spreading into South Korea, but its invasion of the North was a mistake. The Cuban Missile Crisis, okay, I think America mostly wins that one, but it came at a terrifying experience. And Vietnam, America lost badly. It not only lost the war, no matter what it says, but communism spread to Laos, spread to Cambodia. America lost that one. And yet, overall, the American policy of containment was successful. Its biggest disaster was actually not Vietnam or Korea. Its biggest disaster was when China went communist. But overall, as I say, the policy won through. It was always a long-term policy. Its aim really twofold: to prevent the spread of communism, and I think China apart, and it was a big apart, except for China, America was able to control communism, didn't spread any further in Europe, and where it was successful, they were countries that might have had some strategic value, but they were never going to be major players. So I think on the spread of communism, I think we'd give containment a tick. But the more important success for containment was that it did win the Cold War. It eventually brought down the collapse of, or brought about the collapse of communism in the Soviet Union and so in Eastern Europe. And it did that by playing the long game that Kennan, in his long telegram, had always said was the way to win the Cold War. It outspent the Soviet Union, and it forced the Soviet Union into spending more than it could at any point afford. The most important cost was in the arms race, particularly in the nuclear arms race and rocket technology. But the wars in Korea, the war in Vietnam, and other wars all contributed to the cost of the Soviet Union's domestic policies, and all contributed to bringing down the Soviet Union. Don't forget Afghanistan. It was Soviet involvement in Afghanistan that really led Gorbachev to say, we can't afford this kind of commitment anymore. So, it's a tricky one for you, but if you're answering a question on whether American policy was successful in Korea or not, successful in Vietnam or not, and indeed successful in Cuba or not. If you see the opportunity to take a wider perspective, you can bring in the fact that containment was a successful policy for America. So I hope that was useful for you. As always, thank you for listening, and as always, don't forget my website, History Made Easier. Cheers.